In today's lesson, we're going to review the different types of conflict that are present in our class novel, Among the Hidden. Let's think back to just our basic definition of conflict that you got several weeks ago, and that was on Quiz 1. Conflict is the problem or struggle in the story that the characters face. In this new set of flashcards that you just got, we became more specific with many different types of conflict that are out there. One of them is central conflict, and on your flashcard, we know that a central conflict is the main struggle of opposing forces around which the plot revolves. As we read Among the Hidden, we realize that the central conflict of our book Among the Hidden is a character versus society conflict, where Luke is struggling against the government's decision to have a population law. Luke, being the hidden third child, deals with this central conflict throughout the entire plot of the story. Another type of conflict is the initiating conflict, and this is the problem that starts off or sets off the plot of a story. Before the story started, we get the impression that Luke was pretty comfortable being a hidden third child and that this wasn't a super huge issue for him. However, the story starts off with the trees behind Luke's house being cut down. This is again still an example of an external or character versus society conflict, but it's the initiating conflict of the book because this problem starts the story off. The government has ordered the trees behind Luke's house to be cut down and for houses to be built there for government employees to live in. Now that Luke has neighbors, he can no longer go outside. He must stay inside the house in order to remain hidden. Luke goes from being somewhat content with being a hidden third child and accepting of it, to now feeling very frustrated by this situation, and this sets off the story's plot. During the course of the book, Luke experiences many internal conflicts. An internal conflict is a problem that the character faces in his or her own mind, and we call that character versus self or man versus self. Whenever Luke is thinking in his own mind about what to do, he is experiencing an internal conflict, and we see many of them throughout the story because Luke is often alone or by himself. There are also many external conflicts throughout the book Among the Hidden. External conflicts are problems that a character faces outside of his or her control. Examples of that include character versus character, character versus society, character versus nature, character versus technology, and character versus supernatural. For the most part, the external conflicts in Among the Hidden will revolve around character versus character, or character versus society. Once Luke meets Jen, and we get to about chapters 12, 13, and 14, there are many character versus character conflicts that come up as Luke is battling with Jen, either physically, like when she first met him and Jen tackled him to the floor, or with sort of more of a battle of wills, as we're seeing now with Jen wanting to push forward with the rally, and Luke hesitating with whether or not he believes that that could be a good idea. And then obviously the character versus society one, which we already talked about, Luke versus the government, is also the central conflict of the entire story. In chapter 20, there is a lot of external conflict. Jen gets into an online argument with her chat room friends about the rally in chapter 20, which you should have read before you started this lesson. During that online argument, she gets really angry at them for not agreeing with her about how important the rally is. She gets so angry that she starts writing in all capital letters and exclamation points and jabs the enter button with her finger, eventually shutting off the monitor of her computer because she gets so disgusted with her friends' reactions. We also learned, based on that chat room conversation, that many shadow children eventually choose to pay a lot of money to get a fake ID. Is that going to be an option for Luke? Based on what we know about his family, it doesn't seem like they could afford it. But Luke never even thought about that possibility before. I wonder if that's something that could happen for Luke. Luke also tries to calm Jen down by explaining his views on how she handles things. Although Luke is correct that Jen seems to react quickly to things, it seems like Jen doesn't really want to listen to him. This also creates another character versus character conflict between Luke and Jen. For today's discussion post, we'd like you to answer the following question on your Among the Hidden discussion post channel on our ELA team. Do you think holding the rally will change the population law? Is Jen right? Explain your thoughts. Maybe you think Luke is more correct, that there could be better ways to go about trying to change the population law. He seems really scared to go to the rally, and he thinks it'll probably be a bad idea. Jen, on the other hand, although she admits she's a little bit scared, seems to think that the rally will definitely work. What do you think?